It's one thing to simply fly an aircraft. It's another thing to fly an aircraft in formation. But to fly an aircraft in front of thousands of awestruck onlookers while doing formation aerobatics? Well, that takes things to a whole new level. The Aeroshell aerobatic team pushes the limits of their 4 AT6 Texans. The team performs at some of the biggest air shows across North America and have been doing so for more than 20 years.
You want to carry it up there, or you want to put it in the seat?
During one of their air show appearances, Raylene had a chance to ride back seat with the Aeroshell team. Team leader Steve Gustafson has been one of the driving forces behind the team from the very beginning.
Tell me about how long you've been involved here with the aerobatics and the T6. How did that come to be?
Well, I've been around a long time. My dad actually bought the airplane that I'm flying the year I was born in 1960. I used to sit around in it when I was in kindergarten and make airplane noises. The very one that I'm going to be flying with the team.
So you started this team 27 years ago?
Myself and a friend of mine, Alan Henley. We started it just for fun. I'd been doing solo aerobatics, and I said, you know, my dad used to do some formation aerobatics in the T6, and I'd like to try it. In those days, you didn't have to document practice sessions or anything, so we went out and did it one afternoon and put it in the show the next day.
The next day?
The next day. So, don't get me wrong, it was backed out. It's nothing like we're flying now, but we did loops and rolls and some opposing maneuvers, and the air boss at that particular air show said, well, I've never seen it. That was cool, come up to Pine Bluff, Arkansas. So we went there and we flew it, and John D. Rockefeller III was in the crowd, and he came up to us and he said, golly, I had never seen that. And I got a little bluegrass festival up in Petit Jean Mountain, Arkansas. Could y'all come? So it snowballed.
Eventually, Aeroshell came on as a sponsor, and the team now finds themselves performing at more than 20 shows a year. One of the reasons for the team's popularity has been the impressive formation maneuvers they fly. And while most of the pilots on the team had previous experience with the T6s, according to Steve, the progression to formation aerobatics came naturally.
I crop dusted for 25 years and also flew the T6 and doing aerobatics. Flying solo aerobatics, there's only so much that you can do without killing yourself. And when you get to a certain level in a T6, it's pretty much there. And formation aerobatics, now that's a whole new ball game. Flying 6 and 8 feet off somebody's wing, that's always challenging, and even after 27 years of doing it, it's still a ball to do because it's so challenging.
The Aeroshell team's performance itself is quite simply awesome. A melange of smoke and horsepower, the team does more than simply fly formation. To kick it off, the 4 T6s perform a loop going from skimming the ground right side up to skimming the clouds upside down in just over 14 seconds, before hurtling back towards the Earth. All while just feet from each other. And they don't just do this sort of thing once. Continuously throughout the performance, the combined 20,000 pounds of sheer mass and brawn gracefully perform loops, rolls, and opposing maneuvers. The T6, of course, was not designed strictly as an aerobatic aircraft. Because of this, it's not able to perform some of the more extreme maneuvers that aircraft like Mike Wiskus's Lucas Oil Pits are capable of. The T6 may have nearly double the horsepower of the Pits, but it's also nearly 5 times the weight, which leads to a very different pilot experience as well.
I've flown Pits and Eagles and extras and flown all that stuff. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy that to a certain amount, but this is kind of like sitting back in your recliner, watching the world go around, graceful, heavy iron aerobatics. And Mark and I like to fly a lot of other Warbirds, Mustangs, and Corsairs and stuff. And I tell you what, North American could not have built a better trainer. Because if you can fly this airplane proficiently, you can get right into those fighters with ease.
Really?
It really is. It's just amazing how they came up with this design. Because the first time I ever flew a Mustang, after I'd flown a T6 so much, I was just right at home. I mean, I was so comfortable.
Raylene is a very experienced pilot. She flies 737s as her day job and has spent thousands of hours in small aircraft. But the T6 and formation aerobatics are new experiences for her. But with some more practice, would Raylene be able to join the team?
Tell me about your team. Can I just come join within 5 years? How does it work?
It's a little difficult to get on board. People ask me that all the time. How can I join the team? They ask me all the time, and I say, well, have you flown a T6? Well, no. Well, you have to fly a T6. Do you have any air show experience? You need not only air show experience, you need low-level aerobatic experience in a heavier airplane, and then you need formation, aerobatic, not just formation. It just, you have to burn a lot of gas, and I try to tell everybody, I mean, nothing so grandiose that somebody can't learn, but it's a lot of dedication, a lot. I got asked this morning that, you know, do y'all keep backup pilots? We don't, because what we're doing is so intense. You just can't you have to stay current, and you have to you practice, you have to fly almost every weekend, which we do. And usually beginning of the year, you know, we're so-so, but towards the end of the year, we really get it down really good. But it's just, you can't have somebody just walk up and say, well, I'll fill in for somebody. It's way too intense. Matter of fact, if we don't fly for 4 or 5 months, when we get back in there, you got some barnacles and some rust to get off.
Tell me in one sentence, what's the biggest challenge of flying the T6 as a pilot?
Making sure it goes straight down the runway. These airplanes will ground loop on you. Crosswinds especially. People that fly some of these that just really need good crosswind experience on the ground.
As a tail dragger with the 2 main wheels forward and the small wheel back, Steve says that the T6 is susceptible to what's called a ground loop. Essentially, a ground loop is simply an uncontrolled turn while the aircraft is taxiing, sometimes resulting in the aircraft spinning 360 degrees. Now, this is not to be confused with Aeroshell's celebratory burnout at the end of their show. This is just part of Steve and the team being consummate showmen.
Aerobatic team, how about that, ladies and gentlemen? Beautiful stuff.
The Aeroshell team's regular air show performance is impressive enough, but their piece de resistance is their night air show. For the night show, in addition to their usual blend of smoke, thunderous power, and skilled airmanship, they add flashing lights and a spectacular sunset.
And that's what's unique about our team is there are a lot of T6s out there, but not any that are doing formation aerobatics in T6s.
And I think we can say there's even fewer teams doing formation aerobatics in T6s at night.